Hi, in this video we will read about management of hypoglycemia in newborn. Hypoglycemia is the most common metabolic disorder in the newborn. Anticipation, prevention and the early treatment are essential to reduce the morbidity and mortality and a long-term neurodevelopmental sequelae associated with hypoglycemia. Definition. What is the definition of hypoglycemia? Hypoglycemia is defined as blood glucose level less than 45 mg per deciliter in newborn. This is very important to remember that blood glucose falls less than 45 mg per dl in all the newborns. Now, what is the learning objectives of this video? Identify the babies who are at risk of hypoglycemia. Perform blood glucose estimation using dextrosticks or glucometer. Screen babies for hypoglycemia. Manage hypoglycemia. Now, coming to the first types of hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia may be symptomatic or asymptomatic. It is important to realize that even asymptomatic hypoglycemia can cause brain damage and should be treated without delay. Neonates at risk of hypoglycemia. Premature and the LBW neonates, especially those weighing less than 2 kg, are at risk of hypoglycemia. This was the first one. Infants of the diabetic mother and last for gestational age, they are at risk of hypoglycemia. Sick neonates like the perinatal asphyxia or the hypothermia, poor or delayed feeding, sepsis, shock, respiratory distress, and polycythemia. They are at risk of hypoglycemia, IUGR in small for gestational age babies are at risk, babies on IV fluids are at risk, and mothers on drugs like propranolol, labetalol, or oral hypoglycemic agents, they are also at risk of hypoglycemia. Fine, let's revise it. Premature LPW, infants of the diabetic mother, sick neonates, IUGR, babies on IV fluids, and the mothers taking propranolol, labetalol, or oral hypoglycemic agents. So we saw who are at risk of hypoglycemia. Now, the technique for estimating the blood sugar using the reagent strip. Things needed for the blood sugar estimation using a reagent strip are soap and water to wash hands, alcohol for skin preparation, test strips, glucometer, and the 26 gauge needle or the lancet. Even though heel is the commonly used site, one can also directly prick over a vein to obtain the blood sample. This is less painful compared to the heel prick. Make sure heel is not cold. Heel can be warmed by holding it in your hands for a few minutes. Prepare the site with 70% isopropyl alcohol or the spirit using a scrubbing circular motion. Allow the spirit to dry. Contamination by the alcohol may lead to erroneously high values. Do not use povidone, iodine, or the betadine as the specimen. Contamination may elevate some results. Take appropriate non-pharmacologic pain relieving measures like the swaddling, facilitated tuck, and giving few drops of EBM or 25% dextrose at least 30 seconds before the procedure. Make a needle stick puncture on the posterolateral medial aspect of the heel. Avoid the middle portion of the heel and avoid making deep punctures. Follow the instructions for the reagents. Strip bottle for obtaining the blood. For analysis, if the blood glucose is low, send the blood sample to laboratory for confirmation. However, treatment should be started immediately based on this estimation. Plasma glucose is 10% higher than the blood glucose. Okay. Delay in the laboratory analysis of the blood sample may result in fall in the blood glucose by 14 to 18 milligram per deciliter per hour. Because the glycolysis cycle continues in the blood because it can occur in anaerobic condition also. That's why the blood glucose level falls at this rate 14 to 18, approximately 15 mg per deciliter per hour. So blood glucose estimation should be done as soon as possible after obtaining the blood sample. Now, screening for hypoglycemia. Newborns at risk of hypoglycemia should be screened at 2 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, and 48 hours, and if indicated at 72 hours. The purpose of screening is to anticipate and prevent the symptomatic hypoglycemia at risk newborns. Appropriate and safe site for obtaining the capillary blood sample from the heel is this one. Okay. Now coming to the symptoms of hypoglycemia. There are no specific or characteristic features of hypoglycemia in newborn. The common symptoms in the newborns are: first one is the jitteriness, lethargy, weak or high pitched cry, poor feeding, or vomiting, tachycardia of more than 180 per minute, and sweating, hypothermia, poor respiratory effort or apnea or tachypnea, dusky color or cyanosis, and seizures or even coma. Fine. These are all the common symptoms a newborn can have if they are in hypoglycemia. Now let's read about the differential diagnosis. The clinical features of hypoglycemia are non-specific, as we saw, and can mimic any other illness in the newborn. Moreover, hypoglycemia can occur as a complication during the course of illness. Therefore, it is a good clinical practice to check the blood glucose in any sick newborn. Important differential diagnosis of hypoglycemia include sepsis, hypothermia, and perinatal asphyxia. If the signs are not alleviated by correction of hypoglycemia, consider other diagnostic possibilities for the symptoms. Now coming to the management part. Management of the symptomatic hypoglycemia, and when the blood sugar level is less than 25 mg per deciliter, establish an IV line. This is for symptomatic hypoglycemia and when the blood glucose is less than 25 mg per deciliter. Establish an IV line and give a bolus of 2 ml per kg body weight of 10% dextrose IV slowly over 1 minute. If an IV line cannot be established quickly, give 2 ml per kg of the body weight of 10% dextrose by the orogastric tube. Start infusion of the dextrose containing fluid at the daily maintenance volume according to the baby's age so as to provide a blood glucose infusion rate GIR of 6 mg per kg per minute. Glucose infusion rate of this at the daily maintenance volume. And the daily how to calculate the daily maintenance volume that we saw in video on fluid management. If the blood glucose remains below 45 mg per deciliter, GIR should be increased in two steps of 2 mg per kg per minute to a maximum of 12 mg per kg per minute. So GIR should be increased in steps of 2 mg per kg per minute. That means if we started at 6, we can increase by 2 to 8, then 10, and then 12, and maximum we can go up to 12 mg per kg per minute. Okay. Check the blood glucose 30 minutes after starting the infusion of the glucose or any change in the GIR. If the blood glucose is above 45 milligram per deciliter, continue the glucose infusion at this rate and recheck the blood glucose at 1 hour. With two blood glucose values in the normal range, the frequency of the glucose monitoring is reduced to 6 hourly. If the blood glucose is less than 25 milligram per deciliter, this is important. Initially, we recheck every 1 hour, and when two blood glucose values are in the normal range, then we reduce the frequency of glucose monitoring is reduced to 6 hourly. Fine. If the blood glucose is less than 25 milligram per deciliter, repeat the bolus of 10% dextrose 2 ml per kg and increase the GIR. And if after giving that bolus and starting the GIR, if the blood glucose still remains less than 25 milligram per deciliter, then we have to repeat the bolus. Okay, and 2 ml per kg at 2 ml per kg and increase the glucose infusion rate. If the blood glucose is between 25 to 45, do not give dextrose bolus but increase the GIR. Fine. If it is between 25 to 45, we do not need to give the dextrose bolus, but we need to increase the GIR. If the upper concentration of the dextrose solution, which can be infused safely through the peripheral vein, is 15%, so we can infuse up to 15% dextrose by the peripheral veins. Concentration higher than this necessitate a central line placement and referral. Okay, if we need to give concentration of more than 15% dextrose, then we need to um, use the central line. Okay, moving ahead, tapering of the glucose infusion. Once the blood glucose levels remain above 45 milligram per deciliter for more than 24 hours, glucose levels remain what? Above 45 for more than 24 hours, begin tapering the glucose infusion rate in steps of 2 mg per kg per minute. every 6 hours. So this is how we taper. Glucose remains above 45 for more than 24 hours, then we have to begin tapering. And GIR, we have to taper the GIR at in small steps of 2 milligram per kg per minute every 6 hourly. In short, blood glucose levels are above 45 milligram per deciliter before changing the GIR. If the blood glucose drops below 45 mg per deciliter, anytime go back to the previous GIR. Initiate the enteral feeding, preferably breastfeeding, express breast milk at the earliest, and continue the breastfeeds or the express breast milk. As the baby's ability to feed improves, gradually decrease the volume of IV fluids while increasing the volume of oral feeds. Stop the IV fluids if the baby is able to maintain the normal blood glucose levels at the GIR of 4 mg per kg per minute and is accepting breastfeeds well. Do not discontinue the dextrose infusion abruptly to prevent rebound hypoglycemia. Okay, we can stop the IV fluids when if the baby is able to maintain the normal blood glucose levels at glucose infusion rate of 4 mg per kg per minute and is accepting breastfeeding well. Okay, now moving ahead, let's read this. Hypoglycemia, blood glucose less than 45 milligram per deciliter by glucose fix. It can be asymptomatic, it can be symptomatic. If the child is asymptomatic and the blood glucose is more than 25 mg per deciliter, give one breastfeed and 20 to 30 or 20 to 30 ml of express breast milk or top feed. Check blood glucose 1 hour after the feeding. Fine. We fed the child if the blood glucose was more than 25 mg per deciliter by either breastfeed or express breast milk, and the blood glucose is still less than 25 mg per deciliter, and if it is less than 45 mg per deciliter. Also, there can be this possibility that after 1 hour, the blood glucose is more than 45 milligram per deciliter, then we have to continue the frequent breastfeeding and monitor blood glucose 6 hourly. But after giving breastfeed and after checking after 1 hour, if it is less than 25 mg per dl, then we have to follow this rule. And if it is less than 45 mg per deciliter, then we have to follow this rule. We will see here. But in asymptomatic child also, if the blood glucose is less than 45 mg per dl, let's see what we do. Also, in symptomatic one also. So dextrose bolus is given at 2 ml per kg of 10% dextrose. Dextrose infusion at the rate of 6 mg per kg per minute is done. Okay, infusion rate is what? 6 mg per kg per minute. It is not ml. Okay, it's mg. Check the blood glucose after 30 minutes. After giving the GIR. If the blood glucose is more than 45 milligram per deciliter, continue the same GIR and begin oral feeding every 2 hourly and monitor the blood glucose 6 hourly. And blood glucose is less than 45, then we have to um, increase the GIR by 2 mg per kg per minute, and blood glucose if less than 25 mg per deciliter, repeat the 10% dextrose bolus and increase the GIR by again 2 mg per kg per minute. Okay. So after this also, if the GIR is more than 12 mg per kg per minute, injection hydrocortisone need to be used, 2.5 mg per kg stat, and then refer. If the GIR rate that we need is more than 12 mg per kg per minute, then we have to give injection hydrocortisone at the dose of 2.5 mg per kg stat and then refer. And if the blood glucose after doing all that is more than 25 mg per deciliter for 24 hours, then GIR can be reduced by 2 mg per kg every minute over 6 hourly, and oral feeding can be started, and we just monitor the blood glucose. So this was all about the management of hypoglycemia. Okay, now we should know when to refer a child if the facilities are not available at your center. So if the hypoglycemia persists despite the above management, give one dose of the injection hydrocortisone 2.5 mg per kg IV and refer with the blood glucose infusion being administered to a higher facility for the further evaluation and management. All the babies requiring the GIR of 10 or infusion containing more than 15% dextrose would require referral to a higher center, and a refractory or a persistent prolonged hypoglycemia for more than 7 days should be evaluated and managed at a higher center. Okay, if after doing that the hypoglycemia persists, then we have to give hydrocortisone and refer. If baby is requiring GIR of 10 or infusion containing more than 15% dextrose, then we need to refer. And there is a prolonged hypoglycemia of more than 7 days, then we need to refer. Achieving appropriate glucose infusion rate for neonates with a birth weight of more than 1500 grams using a mixture of D10 and D25. Okay, so this is the table for birth weight more than 1500 grams. If volume in ml, this is the fluid management that is required, right? If we need to prepare 60 ml of the glucose infusion rate total, then we need to add 10% dextrose and D25 also. Okay. Yeah, just we should just have a photo of this and should calculate the fluid and the NS accordingly. This is for achieving appropriate glucose infusion rate for neonates with a birth weight of less than 1500. This is for less than 1500 gram using a mixture of D10 and D25. GIR can be calculated using this simple equation. The same can also be used to cross check the GIR using the table. So whatever ml per kg into percentage dextrose into 0.007 is equals to the GIR infusion rate. So let's see the example. This is the calculation. If a baby is on 100 ml per kg, this is the total fluid requirement, and giving 10% dextrose, he is receiving a GIR of 7 mg per kg per minute. Now let's read about the frequency of blood glucose measurement after blood glucose returns to normal. If the baby is receiving IV fluid for any reason, continue the blood glucose measurement every 8 hourly for as long as the baby requires IV fluid. If the blood glucose is less than 45 mg per DL, treat as described above. If the baby no longer requires or is not receiving any IV fluids, 2 or more blood glucose estimation should be done at an interval of 12 hours. If the blood glucose remains normal, stop the further glucose monitoring. Post-discharge advice and follow-up. Babies who have had hypoglycemia, whether symptomatic or asymptomatic, are at risk of neurodevelopmental sequelae such as the seizures, developmental delay, cognitive deficits, and the visual defects. They are at risk of all these seizures, developmental delay, cognitive defects, and visual defects. Therefore, these babies should have a close follow-up for their neurodevelopmental status. Now, what are the key messages from this video? Hypoglycemia is a common problem in the preterm and the low birth weight infants or the sick newborns and the infant of the diabetic mother. Hypoglycemia can lead to brain injury with a long-term neurodevelopmental consequences. Newborns at risk of hypoglycemia should be screened using a glucometer. The symptoms of hypoglycemia are non-specific and can be confused with other common neonatal problems. So, initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour of the birth and frequent breastfeeding helps in preventing the hypoglycemia. Newborns with hypoglycemia should be followed up for the neurodevelopmental status and the visual defects. Okay, this was all about this neonatal hypoglycemia. Thank you. Oh, one second, I forgot how to calculate the GIR by using this example. I forgot to tell you. So let's see. First example was a baby is on 100 ml per kg and given a 10% dextrose and he is receiving a GIR of this. So how we calculated that this GIR is given. Okay, so the total fluid that from the fluid management we read, total fluid of the baby came out to be that 100 ml per kg per day. Okay, and the percentage of dextrose given is 10%. So how the GIR is being calculated? This is the formula. That is whatever the total daily fluid of that day into the percentage of the dextrose used into 0.07. This gives us the GIR rate. So this is the formula. GIR is equals to total fluid into percentage dextrose into 0.007. So let's put the values in this formula. Total fluid that the baby need is 100 ml, 100 here. Percentage dextrose 10%, 10% here into 0.007. This comes out to be 7 mg per kg per minute is the glucose infusion rate. Now also if for cross checking, if this is the fluid that is given, that is 49 ml per kg per day of 10% dextrose and 26 ml per kg per day of 25% dextrose. So then how can we calculate the GIR? Let's see. 49 ml of the fluid of 10% dextrose into 0.007 plus 26, also 25% dextrose, so 26 into 25% dextrose into 0.007, this comes out to be 3.43 plus 4.55. This is 7.98 mg per kg per minute, or almost equal to 8 mg per kg per minute. Fine, this was a very simple calculation if you just remember this. The glucose infusion rate is total fluid into percentage dextrose into 0.007. Okay, so thank